This etude presents a few different challenges: choosing a tempo, dynamic contrast, keeping the rhythms perfectly steady, and tenor clef. If I were to choose one to focus on, it would of course be different for each student based on their needs, but I personally chose to focus on keeping the rhythms perfectly steady in my performance. The reason for this is because there are a lot of trill-like patterns, oscillating between two different notes for full measures at a time. Even though they may look like trills, they are in fact not trills. Trills, by definition, are not measured. They're meant to be improvisatory embellishments at a rate chosen by the performer. What we have written in this etude are in fact measured, oscillating, eighth note rhythms. In order to get your best tone quality and intonation, it's important to maintain the original fingerings for all notes in this etude. Trill fingerings may feel easier, but they definitely manipulate the sound quality of a lyrical line like this one. Choosing a tempo for this etude can be tricky. Allegro usually means around quarter note equals 120, which is a solid tempo for this etude. But I feel this musical line in 2 instead of in 4, so I kicked up the tempo to quarter note equals 160. It's important to take a tempo fast enough to help you maintain forward motion, but not so slow that it drags on and makes it hard to find a place to breathe. When deciding on tempo, I found that too slow of a tempo gave me more of a possibility to create uneven spaces between the eighth notes in general, as if I were playing the game Rock Band and my notes weren't actually hitting the bar as they steadily descended. Taking a bit of a brisker pace maintained the steadiness of the constant eighth notes, but also allowed for musical gestures like dynamics and phrasing much more effectively. There are only 2 main dynamics used in this etude: forte and piano. Around measure 19, we see RFP. This means we have a reinforced forte piano dynamic, instead of what we usually see like a sforzando piano. Reinforced means we need more of a solid attack at a solid dynamic, rather than just making it louder or harder in general. Don't forget to crescendo to a forte big enough that will contrast with the sudden piano dynamic a few measures later. Two quick phrasing tips that might help maintain a great musical line. Every time an oscillating gesture changes notes on the last eighth note of a measure, act as if that last note is connected to the first note of the next measure. This will help get away from thinking note by note, measure by measure, and start helping you shape the phrases by transitioning easily into the next idea. Another tip is to think of major dynamic shifts or melodic line changes as different voices. For example, the marcato in measure 44 is a nice melody, but it's rudely interrupted by the soft oscillating notes in measure 47 before returning to the original theme once again. If you act like these are 2 different sides of a conversation, it might help you mentally prepare to make this contrast more obvious.